Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you're watching on the mobile app, throw some hype points my way. So, I've been on TRT for 4 weeks now. How's it been? We're going to get into all of that a little bit later on. I won't rehash how I got here. You can check out the previous video for that. But before I get into my protocol and what I've experienced, I want to give you some context around low testosterone for myself that I've been piecing together. This may be a longer story than I actually realized. I was talking to my wife about this, and I've been wondering, have I been dealing with low testosterone symptoms for a long time? Things like lack of motivation, lack of drive, poor sleep, brain fog. These have been there for years. They've always gotten written off as something else. Poor sleep, sleep apnea, brain fog, lack of sleep. Or maybe I'm dealing with the side effects of CTE from my football day, something that I'm worried about. Lack of motivation and drive, just tired, just fatigued, always pointing back to sleep apnea. But here's what I've come to understand. For me, looking back, I wasn't just dealing with one thing suppressing my levels. I was dealing with three of them at the same time. At my heaviest, my BMI hit 45.9. I was at 358 pounds. When I started Zepbound, I was still at 40.1 at 315 pounds. And the whole time, I had severe sleep apnea dating back to 2005. And I also had bilateral varicose veins at least since 2013. Now, individually, each one of those is enough to tank your testosterone, but I wasn't dealing with them individually. They were all running simultaneously, compounding on each other. First up, obesity. Excess body fat isn't just dead weight, it's metabolically active tissue. Adipose tissue drives aromatase activity, which converts testosterone directly into estradiol, a type of estrogen, the most potent kind. It is this mechanism that can lead to gynecomastia in men, or man boobs. Your testosterone levels decrease because it is being converted to estradiol, and your estradiol obviously goes up. Your own body is working against you. On top of that, obesity suppresses HPG access, the hormonal signaling chain from your brain down to your testes. And elevated leptin and insulin resistance both interfere with LH pulsatility. LH being the signal your testes need to produce testosterone in the first place. Now, here's a number that floored me. For every 1 point increase in BMI, testosterone can drop by 2%. And a 4-inch increase in waist circumference is linked to a 75% higher risk of having low T. That's not small. Now, sleep apnea, most of your testosterone is produced during your sleep, specifically during REM and deep, slow wave sleep. Severe sleep apnea doesn't just disrupt your rest. Every apneic event is an oxygen drop, and chronic hypoxia directly suppresses Leydig cell function. Those are the cells in your testes that actually make testosterone. Add in cortisol elevation that comes from fragmented sleep, and you've got a second major suppressor running every single night. Then there's the varicocele. Back in 2013, I had a lump checked out. They ruled out testicular cancer, thankfully, but they found bilateral varicoceles. The doctors at the time basically said, not a big deal unless you want more kids. And I didn't, so we moved on. Now, what they didn't tell me is that varicocele is an enlargement of the veins inside the scrotum, and the core problem it creates is heat. Your testes are supposed to run cooler than your core body temperature. A varicocele disrupts the thermal regulation, and elevated scrotal temperature directly reduces Leydig cell efficiency. Beyond the heat issue, varicoceles also create oxidative stress on testicular tissue, and that damage is cumulative. It builds over years. Mine have been quietly going on in my body for over a decade. So, all three of those, the obesity, sleep apnea, the varicoceles, running at the same time, compounding each other. So actually, maybe I was dealing with low testosterone and I really just didn't know it. But then I started Zepbound and things start turning around. When I got on Zepbound and started losing weight, I did start feeling better, more energy, more drive. Now I understand why. I was burning off adipose tissue, which meant I was shutting down the estrogen factory. My insulin sensitivity improved. And better insulin sensitivity means a better Leydig cell response. I eliminated sleep apnea. That one is in remission for over a year now. And testosterone is primarily produced during sleep. So better sleep means better production. And things were looking up. I wasn't at optimal levels, but I was functioning a lot better despite the fact that the varicoceles had probably been causing low-grade Leydig cell stress the entire time. And then the tipping point. I went through radiation treatment, and I believe that combined with pre-existing subclinical compromise that was already there, that completely sent me over the edge. So, man, if you are experiencing low motivation, low libido, brain fog, depressed mood, lack of drive, these could point to low testosterone. And low testosterone can be driven by something structural like varicocele or something metabolic like obesity or sleep apnea. Get your levels checked. All right, let's talk about what I'm actually doing. I'm taking 100 milligrams per week of testosterone cypionate. I'm splitting that into 2 injections, 0.5 milliliters or 50 units each time. I inject 84 hours apart. That's right at the midpoint of a week. If you didn't know, there are 168 hours in a week. So I inject on Monday morning at 6:30 a.m. and then Thursday evening at 6:30 p.m. I'm doing subcutaneous injections or subQ rather than intramuscular. And here is why that matters. Intramuscular gives you a fast, high peak and a steeper drop. SubQ, on the other hand, absorbs more slowly, giving you a flatter, more stable curve, lower peaks, and higher troughs, which means more consistent energy and mood between injections. SubQ also tends to produce lower estradiol relative to the total testosterone in your system. And practically speaking, IM leaves scar tissue on your muscles and carries a higher risk of hitting nerves or veins. Now, the efficacy of both methods is the same. The one potential downside of subQ is nodule formation at the injection site if you're injecting a larger dose all at once. And I dealt with that before with LipoB injections when I was injecting a full milliliter or 100 units at once. But a 0.5 milliliter twice a week injection is not an issue. My first injection on that Thursday night, I used an insulin syringe. This is a 30 gauge, 1 milliliter insulin needle with a syringe. And it took forever to draw the testosterone out of the vial. So I have switched to a lower lock syringe. This is a 1 milliliter syringe, and you can detach the needle. So I got a 18 gauge needle to go along with that. So I draw a half milliliter up with this 18 gauge needle. It's a lot thicker, and it comes, which allows the testosterone to come out of the vial quicker. And the testosterone is thicker because it is in cottonseed oil. So it's not in a normal fluid, watery fluid. So this larger 18 gauge needle allows it to come up a little quicker. So once I draw it up, I take this needle off and put on a 29 gauge insulin needle on top of the syringe and inject it into my body subcutaneously. So here's what I experienced in the first 30 days. I took my first injection that Thursday night, March 26th, and I actually felt it that night, it seems. It seemed like I got a jolt of energy, and it made it hard for me to sleep. And that carried over into the next day. And without much rest, I still had a lot of energy. I wasn't tired at all. My body felt great. I was feeling normal. I don't know if that was a placebo effect, and my mind is telling me that I'm feeling better, but I felt a lot more energy just overnight that first day. And that increased energy happened every Thursday night for the first couple of weeks. And it even happened on a Monday when I did my Monday morning injection. And it seemed like that carried over later on in the day, and I couldn't sleep that night. So I got up at 1 a.m. and went to the gym and worked out. Finished the whole day on Tuesday, did one of the Healthy Mentality Lives that night, and still felt great. My energy was up. I was feeling energetic. So it seems that it's working really well in that regard. I get out the bed without any issue. I'm not dragging out of the bed, waiting, and trying to get a few more moments of sleep in before I get out of the bed and dreading getting out of the bed. I'm just getting up and going. So the Sunday after my first injection, I was back in the gym for the first time in over 4 months. Now, I've been going consistently every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. I'm easing back in, doing lighter weights, getting my body adjusted to getting back into the gym. And I'm also still dealing with, as I mentioned, my shoulder injuries. I completed physical therapy. There's no surgery needed for my left shoulder at this time, but I still can't move it above 90 degrees. And they're not ready to do surgery on it. And I don't want to do any cortisone injection into it, because my experience with cortisone injection is that it once that cortisone wears off, it feels worse than it did before you had the cortisone injection. So if I don't have to do the cortisone injection, I'm not going to do it, because I had experienced that in my back and my hips numerous times. So still having right shoulder pain and still having low back pain. So fighting through all of that, but still getting up, excited about going to the gym each morning and getting that work in. And I'm also getting up every Tuesday and Thursday before work, which is something that I haven't been able to do for over a year. My energy feels stable. My mind is clear. My motivation is coming back. My drive is returning. And then there's something I wasn't even tracking or wasn't even aware of, and that's the return of morning erections. We're all adults here, right? So honestly, I hadn't noticed I wasn't having them, but apparently that's an important signal. Morning wood is essentially your body's way of confirming that testosterone is working and your vascular and neurological systems are doing their jobs. The absence of it can point to hypogonadism, or even ED, or cardiovascular and neurological issues. So yeah, the more you know. Now, one thing I wasn't prepared for was a big jump in hunger for the first few weeks that I started the TRT, to the point where I was wondering if my Zepbound injections were duds. My body was demanding more fuel. TRT plus getting back in the gym will obviously do that. So I added more protein, and that helped significantly. But I've also seen noticeable weight gain over these 4 weeks. On March 23rd, I was 191.5 pounds, and my scale estimated my body fat at 18%. And then by April 17th, I was 199.5 pounds with an estimated 19.2% body fat. Now, my first thought was I was just backed up. The extra protein slowed things down probably, and I wasn't getting everything out. So I tried some magnesium citrate, and that confirmed that that wasn't really the issue for me. And what it actually is water retention. Apparently, early in TRT, it's common to hold 1 to 6 pounds of water weight. And here's the tricky part, because it's extracellular water located beneath the skin and the extremities rather than inside the muscle cells. And most scales will read that as fat. That's why the body composition numbers look worse than they actually are. Now, the body will flush it out as things stabilize, and I will increase my cardio to help flush it. So we'll see how that goes. And this morning, the scale read 199.2 pounds. If I were to believe my scale, which isn't the gold standard for body composition by any means, I have gained 4 pounds of muscle and 3.6 pounds of fat in just 4 weeks. I don't think the fat thing is right, but we'll see how that goes after this water gets flushed out of my system. In summary, things are going well. I'm approaching a steady state, which I should hit before May 7th, according to Claude. Steady state is where the testosterone you're adding in with each injection equals the amount your body is clearing between those injections. So your levels stop rising and settle into a consistent repeating cycle. I have blood work on May 7th to see how things are, where my numbers are, and then a follow-up appointment on May 21st. I'll do an update once I get my labs back, and a full 2-month update after that. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.